Hi, my name is Paul Asbell, and next weekend, which is September 20th through 22nd, I'm going to be performing and teaching a workshop at the Rocky Mountain Archtop Festival in Arvada, Colorado. And I'm going to just give a couple of thoughts about my journey through and to archtop guitars. I originally started on flat top guitar, and I originally started many years ago playing blues. And what blues meant to me was being played on a flat top guitar like that Martin that's hanging on the wall, and playing things like that sort of stuff. And I played it for many years and was fortunate enough to be professionally employed by people who were heroes of mine, Muddy Waters and Howlin' Wolf and people like that. But all the while I was hearing more advanced players like Robert Jr. Lockwood playing a jazzier flavor of blues, and pretty quickly I wanted to know what that was. And a lot of those guys were playing on archtop guitars of one sort or other, and often they were electric guitars, sometimes plywood tops, and not particularly fine crafted instruments. But I realized pretty soon that the voice of an archtop guitar had so much to do with what jazzy oriented guitar playing was all about. It brought out the punch of the upper strings and the treble notes. It also kind of made the chords that guitarists are, the kind of chords that jazz guitarists favored. It kind of made a very clean presentation of those notes in the bass. So when I was hearing things like and all of the kind of lines that people would tend to play over changes like that, I realized you really need an archtop guitar to be able to do things like integrate all of those bass lines, those small three-note voicings on the bass strings, punchy treble lines, being able to go between lines like that, and just throwing out ideas there of what an archtop is characteristically able to do that flat tops just don't do quite as well, and certainly solid body guitars don't round out the notes in such a way that the treble lines fit really nicely right alongside chords that punctuate it. And as your playing gets more and more pianistic, you're going to want to be able to have a voice on your instrument that actually rounds out and makes kind of congruent all of those chordal voicings and also the lines that spell out those chords, which is kind of the essence of jazz guitar. Any rate, it occurred to me that the bluesy thing that I was originally attracted to, there was no end of possibilities how to extend that into and join it with the jazz stuff that I was learning more and more of. And I am going to be teaching a workshop in exactly that idea. I'm calling it Jazzin the Blues and Bluesin the Jazz, which of course is kind of a weird name, but basically implies how do you take a blues tune with essentially just 3 main chords and, quote, jazz it up in such a way that there's way more chords, there's way more interesting stuff happening, and create chordal voicings that do that follow that 12-bar progression but make much more interest in it. And also, how do you play lines and learn heads that that suggest so much more than and stuff like that. And so that's the jazzing the blues part. But bluesing the jazz, in my workshop, I'm going to be talking about the idea of making how to get jazz tunes and jazz playing so that it doesn't have quite the sort of misty, like what sometimes might be thought of as a really sort of sappy major and minor sevenths sonic presentation that sounds so unbluesy. Sometimes it's hard to understand how in the world would you ever join these two types of musics together. And of course, people have been doing this for many decades. There's ways of playing very bluesy when playing jazz tunes, and we're going to explore that as well. Anyway, I look forward to seeing people out there. I look forward to seeing some of you at the workshops, and have a wonderful festival.